Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 48 of Total Retail Talks. I'm Melissa Campanelli, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Total Retail. And today I'm joined by Mabel McLean, who's the director of the Amazon IQ product at L2. L2, as you know, is a well-known benchmarking and education firm that helps retailers shape their digital roadmap and achieve greater ROI. At L2, Mabel's focus is on architecting new methodologies to benchmark brand performance on Amazon and implementing new studies to publish key findings about the platform. So today we're going to investigate the Amazon pricing ecosystem with Mabel, who authored L2's recently published Amazon IQ fashion pricing report. So hi, Mabel. Thanks for taking the time to speak with me today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me on.
So let's just jump right in. Tell me a little bit about the report and what's the reason you decided to study Amazon's pricing in the fashion space?
So we decided to take a closer look at Amazon's pricing right after they announced that they were dropping their list prices. And we had more and more of our fashion members come to us with questions about the platform, especially whether or not they should be distributing, with the majority of them very concerned about what it would mean for their brand if they started selling on Amazon. As a platform, Amazon has this reputation as the low-cost player, and because it allows third-party merchants to sell products on its platform, it also is inherently tied to that as well, and has a very negative reputation among a lot of prestige players when it comes to whether or not they want to sell their brand.
Sure.
So a key component of this is discounting and the prices that brand products would be sold for on Amazon. So we wanted to take a look at this, especially in fashion, because it was timely. So we took our fashion digital IQ index brands, which are about 100 fashion brands in the United States with major market share. 15 of these brands officially distribute on Amazon. And among those, we took about 1,500 ASINs, and ASIN is Amazon's version of an SKU, and looked the 1,500 ASINs that were sold both wholesale, so the brand selling product to Amazon, and by third-party retailers on the platform. And we looked at the prices offered for these products, both wholesale and by third-party merchants, over a 6-month period.
Great. Yeah, I was going to ask you about how you went about conducting it. Okay, great. So now that we went through this, can you share with us some of the findings?
So there's this widespread reputation that the third-party retailers selling on Amazon are horrible for brand perception because they're selling products at incredibly low prices and are effectively weapons of commoditization. And what we have found is that in most cases, Amazon is actually discounting wholesale merchandise more steeply than third-party merchants are discounting product. So as a brand, if you decide to sell through Amazon, you essentially hand over your merchandise, and in terms of pricing, it's subjected to Amazon's dynamic pricing algorithm, which will crawl the red and take record of all of the prices that a particular item is offered for, and then make its pricing decisions based on those on this ecosystem level data. And so we found that this dynamic pricing algorithm was discounting products very steeply, especially for products over $50. For products under $50, discounting from Amazon and third-party retailers tended to be fairly equal. But once you got over that $50 price point, Amazon was discounting more steeply for the most part. And we attributed this just because products over $50 are just more likely to be sold online. And when you're thinking about kind of what something costs, the cost to ship it, the ship to weight ratios involved. So, and then not only are they more likely to be sold, but they're more likely to go on clearance if other retailers fail to sell through the stock of a particular item. So more data points and more kind of clearance for Amazon's algorithm to take into consideration.
Interesting. Yeah, I was going to ask you about the part about adjusting prices less than one time each day. If you could talk about that a little.
Yeah, absolutely. So Amazon's notorious for its high-speed price fluctuations via its algorithm. With one study estimating that it adjusted prices upwards of 2 million times per day. I think this was for inventory overall, because when we looked specifically at the fashion brand products that we were tracking, on average, prices changed for products less than once per day. Again, prices over $100 changed much more frequently, about 2.7 times per day, again, feeding back to just the higher number of data points, these data points being more volatile from other retailers around the web. But at the end of the day, Amazon is dynamically adjusting its prices based on the prices that it sees from other retailers around the web.
Great. So, in your opinion, what do these findings say about how Amazon prices fashion?
I don't think it prices fashion any differently than any other type of product it sells on its website, which is a bit of a problem, especially when you're dealing with brands that are incredibly equity conscious, hesitant to sell on the platform in general, and just the fact that the steep discounting that we saw shows that they are right in respect to be wary of distributing on Amazon. What will be interesting to see is if Amazon has made some concessions for other verticals in the past in order to incentivize prestige players to distribute through them, the most notable being luxury beauty. They really wanted to get into the beauty space and said that if you decide to distribute through our luxury beauty store, we will clean up kind of all of the third-party retailers selling your products. We'll install MSRP price floors, so your products won't be subject to our dynamic pricing algorithm. They haven't extended this yet to fashion for the most part, so it'll be interesting to see how this changes over time, and I think that'll largely vary with whether or not they can get some of the major market players to officially distribute through them. I think they have taken a lot of steps in the right direction, and they're starting to see some traction. Overall, the category itself on Amazon is still quite underpenetrated.
Do you think this will continue in the rest of 2016 for the holidays and next year, or do you think that it'll change?
I think it depends on what type of product you're talking about specifically within fashion. I mean, we say prestige and we say luxury, but at the end of the day, there's a very sizable difference between a pair of shoes that cost $300 and a pair of shoes that come from Yves Saint Laurent and cost thousands of dollars. So there's nuances within prestige, there's nuances within types of products, whether or not you're talking about something that's core and replenishment oriented that you'll buy again and again regardless of trends, regardless of season, or kind of what retailers have historically focused on, especially in the fashion space, and have kind of designed their UIs around, which is catering to seasonal merchandise that they want to quickly sell through over the course of a season. And so I think the way that Amazon's UI is positioned now, it is much more oriented towards core. The way that it has trained its shoppers, which is more weighted towards CPG, home care, kind of utilitarian products, have been slow to bleed into any prestige categories. I don't think it's not that their consumers aren't price sensitive or are price sensitive, I guess. On average, Amazon's demographic is affluent and millennial and will pay more for a product just because it's on Amazon and convenient. It's just that consumers have yet to be trained to purchase fashion and seasonal items on Amazon. When you look at the categories that are purchased by Prime members, more Prime members have purchased groceries through Amazon than they've purchased clothing, which is
wow, that's
incredible
interesting.
when you think about kind of the e-commerce penetration rates in the United States in general. So I think now will start to look a lot different, but I don't think department stores are going away anytime soon, for example. I think they still serve a very valuable role in the retail ecosystem. I mean, we saw kind of everyone released their earnings today. Earnings are up for the first time.
Yeah.
It's not because kind of sales are up, it's because they're starting to make more strategic plays around cutting the fat and closing stores and becoming viable figuring out what it takes to be profitable and to compete with Amazon and where they need to play in that respect. So I think Amazon will continue to grow as a fashion retailer. I think it still has a while to go before it really is the kind of counterpart to a Nordstrom, for example.
Sure. Great. Well, I think, I was going to ask you about what you felt this meant in terms of for retailers and manufacturers, but I think you pretty covered that. I mean, it's sort of like retailers aren't going anywhere. Amazon tests prices things similarly, and that's kind of the main focus. So can you tell our listeners how to get the full report?
So you can only get the full report if you are an L2 member. You can read an excerpt of the report by going to L2Inc.com, searching Amazon pricing, I believe, and the link to download will be there.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much, Mabel. I want to thank you for your time today. Please check out our podcast channel page, mytotalretail.com/podcasts for show notes. And Total Retail Talks is also available on iTunes and Stitcher, but make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. So thanks, everybody, and I look forward to speaking with you on the next episode of Total Retail Talks.